Jon Stewart, who we'll talk about it from many angles, somebody you admire, a friend, he proposed a two-state solution.
Of course.
Look to the comedians for hope.
Yes, well, everybody's talking about the two-state solution, but Israel has said many times on Netanyahu and Bennett, like there's going to be no state solutions. They in the past is like even Naftali Bennett, he came in on the Hard Talk. It's like, yeah, maybe in the past we wanted two-state solutions, but like, look, every time we give them land, they kill us. So no state solutions, and they are openly saying it.
But that's perhaps rhetoric.
The rhetoric that is supported by action. Because look at what they're doing in the West Bank that you said. They are cutting it, illegal settlement, piecemealing it. So if you have an intention at all to give them anything, why do you keep doing this?
And you've called it a bunch of little Gazas.
Yeah.
It's a nice little picture of what's happening.
Piecemealing it, because it is what happened in the past 4 months. The Palestinians have been microdosing on it for a very long time. Little by little. And we would shout every time when it gets too much, and then we shut down, and then little by little. But this time it was hard. It was hard to see the blatant oppression. And the word said, maybe the Hamas Ministry of Health are giving us the bad numbers. Maybe it's just human shields. And I laugh. There's 13,000 babies killed. Does that mean that there are 13,000 military targets hiding in their diapers? Because it doesn't make any sense to kill that many babies. It's like, oh, oops, it is out of our hands.
It's hard to know what to do with those numbers. I mean, it's just one baby is enough.
But you know what happens? When you hear so many numbers become numbers. And you become so desensitized. And this is why there's a difference between saying 13,000 Palestinian kids dead. It's like Mila Cohen, an Israeli baby, 10-month-old. She was killed in her crib. And this is what we hear from CNN. We never hear a story about a Palestinian kid. That's why, thank you for giving me the space for saying the names of the Palestinian children that were killed just for 4 weeks. Like it's because humans needs context. They need depth. They need like a 3D look at what they can look at. But if you just tell them numbers, they don't mean anything.
Is there some degree to where both leaderships, Hamas, PA, Palestinian Authority, Israel, all want war, like perpetual war to remain in power?
That's an interesting question. But I mean, let's admit something. The Arab regimes in the area have actually used the problem of Palestine in order to stay in power, in order to get excuses to like have this enemy. And Israel, the Israeli government has used that too, and maybe the Palestinians. But my problem when going into discussion this is that the two sides are not equal. They're not equal in power, they're not equal in influence, and they're not equal in international support, especially by the United States. So Palestinians the people who have made changes in history were the people with power, the people who would have the ability to change things. And the Palestinians cannot really change it. What can they change?
Well, is that true though?
Okay.
With how much support the Palestinian people have. So just like you said, there's a lot of Arab states that will voice their pro-Palestinian position in order to distract from the own corruption and abuses of power in their own countries. But, I don't think if you look globally, there's a complete asymmetry of power and public opinion here. Maybe in the press in the West, but if you look globally...
But do they have the same kind of weapons that the Israeli have?
So literally power? No, there's a major asymmetry of literal power.
Some money to their leaders? Does that make any difference? I mean, and also when you say Palestinian Authority, which authority are you talking about? Hamas or the Palestinian Authority who has been kind of a domesticated, kind of like a puppy for the Palestinians, who basically have been an informant for on their own people? And this is the thing also that kind of like really pissed me off when I was hearing the thing about these things. Like Hamas. Like we have Netanyahu on tape confessing that he supported Hamas, gave him money in order to cause factions. in between the Palestinians. So it's just like it doesn't make. You just told me this.
Mhm.
You just told me this. You just told me Netanyahu supports Hamas. It's like, but Hamas, like what?
I mean, to which degree does Netanyahu represent the Israeli people? Is a real question.
To which point does Trump or Biden represent the American people?
And to which degree does Hamas represent the Palestinian people?
Does none of these represent it, but who have the power in order to make the decisions? It really comes down to that.
Well, who does have the power? You're giving a lot of power to Israel,
Yeah.
but the Arab League.
What should Hamas do? What do you think we should Hamas do?
Continue doing what a charter says, which is trying to destroy Israel.
Mm.
And the role of the Palestinian people is to overthrow Hamas and get a more moderate leadership, probably.
Mm.
And the role of the Israeli people is to vote out this right-wing government and elect a more moderate leader so that there's a chance at peace with two moderate leaders.
So before Hamas even got to control 2006 Gaza, there was Ariel Sharon in 2000. Mm-hmm. And we all know what happened. And Ariel Sharon kind of like came up with this amazing policy of like breaking people's kids' bones in the Intifada. So Hil Baraki was also like, I mean, which one is moderate? I mean, I think Hamas is a product of what happened. I mean, we can, if there was no apartheid in South Africa, there would be no NFC. There will be no Nelson Mandela. If there were no Nazis in Paris, there would be no French resistance. And I'm not saying that. And again, I'm not. Don't want to be put in a position to defend Hamas or anybody because you know what that entails. But those are like Hamas. Again, not defending them. They went into October 7th. What was their why did they did that? Like release our hostages, the people in prison, because. If you're talking about people who were kidnapped, Israel kidnaps people every single day. And when they had the first exchange on November 4th, Israel released 400 people, 3/4 of them were women and children. Why are those people in prison? There's 1 in 4 kids that are in prison that stay in solitary confinement, which is by international law a form of torture. And you're putting kids through that.
Is it possible? So first of all, ceasefire.
Yes.
And longer term, is it possible for Arab states and the United States to get together and with power through diplomacy enforce a solution?
It's a very, very ideal solution, but you know, and I know, that the Arab states don't really have the power. All of the powers are in the hands of America.
They have the power. See, I think they have the power. I don't.
Maybe they don't want to use it.
They don't want. Well, that's
maybe they
because there's a benefit. Like
maybe there's a benefit.
The dark sense I have is that a lot of people win from the suffering that Palestinians are going through because they can point to that and distract from
definitely
corruption in their own states, and then obviously Iran can benefit also from the same kind of dynamic, distracting from the authoritarian nature of their regime.
Definitely, but what is the core of the problem here? Is it the Arab states using the suffering, or the suffering itself? And the suffering comes from people being displaced, their homes were taken away. There are 7 million Palestinians in diaspora. 7 million. 7 million went out there, and now they're living in Canada and America and Europe. They had homes there they cannot go back to. 1.7 million people of the people in Gaza don't belong in Gaza. They were pushed from other places.